everyone. This is Chemistry 101. I am Joshua, your tutor for today, and we will be discussing about ions and ionic compounds. So, let's get started. But before that, let me introduce to you the following objectives of this tutorial video. First objective is to distinguish what is an ion. Second, determine the two types of ions, and lastly, naming ionic compounds. What is an ion? Ions, an atom that carries a positive or negative electric charge as a result of having lost or gained one or more electrons. There are two types of ions. The cation, which is positively charged and has loss of number of electrons. And the second one is an ion that is gained on electrons and refers to have negatively charged ion. Aside from that, monoatomic ions coming from the word mono, which means one, refers to single atom. Some of its examples are helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and radon. On the other hand, polyatomic ions, two or more derived from the word poly, consist of two or more atoms. Sulfate, ammonium, and water are some of the common polyatomic ions. Before moving to the periodic table of elements, let's define first the charge number, which states that number of electrons gained or lost. So in the periodic table, it has different charge numbers depending on their group. First group has a charge number of 1. The charge number of the second group is 2. The third group has a charge number of 3. The fourth group has a charge of positive or negative 4. The fifth group has a charge of negative. The sixth group consists of negative 2 charge number. The seventh group has a negative 1 charge number, and last, for the noble group or the eighth group, has a charge of 0. After knowing the charge numbers of each element, let's move on to naming ionic compounds. But how to do that? Here are the following tips in chemical nomenclature. First is to determine if it is an ionic compound. In what way? Determining each element in a compound having a metal and non-metal, which have been discussed earlier using periodic table of elements. The second one is that the cation is named first before the anion. Based from the example given, beryllium is a cation which has a positive 2 charge number. That is why it is written first in naming the ionic compound. Next to it could be sulfur. That is why it is named as beryllium sulfide. In the third step, in writing the formula, the charge numbers of each element will be exchanged, or if simplified, then it could be simplified. In case 1, at the bottom part, the beryllium and sulfur has charge number of 2, so their changes could be simplified. Charges could be simplified, thus it turns to be in that final formula, or BES. On the second case, calcium and fluorine has different charges. It won't be simplified, and we just need to exchange their charges. The final answer would be CaF2. On the last step, put an IDE suffix at the second compound's name. For example, the given formula is CaF2, and the second element of the compound is fluorine. Just change or add a suffix IDE to fluorine, making it fluoride. Here are the following examples of naming ionic compound. Cations and anions are being determined as well as its formula and name. Let's just check it. In the first two consecutive rows, they have the same charges, so it could be simplified. The same with the rows 3 and 4, they don't have the same charge numbers, thus we exchange their charges. In naming ionic compounds, the first element of the compound are cations, thus they are written first, and after it, the second compound's name has changed to add the suffix IDE. Thus, having the compounds in these examples, sodium bromide, calcium oxide, zinc chloride, beryllium fluoride, and potassium iodide, are being classified respectively. I hope for the future chemist students that they have learned something in this video. Just follow the steps in naming ionic compounds, and definitely it's just a piece of cake for you. Have a nice day!